I swear this is still going to be very lo-fi. I'm not gonna get in the sauce about overproducing the AV elements of this, but I did get a little cheap Bluetooth mic. Okay, today has been a lot harder in terms of writing. Yesterday I was flying high and it felt like I was on top of the world. Today I wrote 500 words in the first session, and it has been many, many hours since that session. It is much later than I would like it to be, and I do have a little over 700 words to go, and I'm gonna get them done. But today was tougher, and after an afternoon, an evening of among other things, thinking about why I just hit a brick wall after 500 words, because I didn't prepare for what I was going to write after I finished that sequence. I had 500 awesome words remaining, got my protagonist teed up, ended the scene on a cool note, and then promptly was like, well, what the hell do I do next? I have an outline, like I mentioned the other day, but it is a very macro level outline. I mean, it breaks the whole thing down into 8 sequences, just how I outline my screenplays nowadays, but I don't have a sort of cluster of scenes surrounding this one. I have broad goals I need to achieve. I need to establish the ways that this POV character and the protagonist are different and contrasting. I know how their personalities contrast, but populating the scenes with events that highlight those contrasts while also progressing the plot, while also building the world, because we're still in the early stages of this very fantastical novel. That's what I'm sort of running up against, is I haven't yet hammered out those scenes. So what I really need to do, I need to treat this like a screenplay, and I need to do a beat outline of just this sequence of this region of the world that we're going to spend a chunk of time in. That I think would be really helpful. So I will tee myself up to do some of that tomorrow, but I'm not going to count it toward the word count tonight or sort of fiddle with that tonight. I'm going to get 700 good words left sort of in this immediate area. Even if they end up being excess, even if I cut them later, I don't want to break the habit of getting to 1,250 words of prose of the novel itself. So they need to have more of a conversation. It would probably be informative for me anyway to write some dialogue between these two characters. So I'm just going to extend this scene sort of past the button I ended on and see, well, like, what would they say to each other if this extended, or if the scene played out a little bit longer than I currently have it. And that'll be good. And I have an idea of where some of these scenes are going to be going. So I may just kind of put a pin at the end of this sequence once I extend it, and then bump down to a few scenes later and just sort of write what I know is going to come up. But this is a good, firm reminder that as I close in on the end of scenes, major scenes and sequences, I need to have plans teed up so that I don't get completely, shunted to the side whenever I hit the ending of a scene. All right. Other news. I wrote without doing any kind of intro today. That just felt right. To be honest, I just sat down, words started flowing. I already had the music going, and it felt a little stilted to stop and talk. So I figured I'd throw us right into the writing today and just catch up with you now at the midpoint, which has ended up being most of the day later. And we're going to do the rest of our writing here at nighttime, which is kind of a vibe anyway. I mean, that's a writer thing. Burn the midnight oil and hammer out some words. So we started today with 5,594 words. So we need to get to 6,844, which I think we can do. It's just going to be a little bit more of a grind than it was yesterday. And that just goes to show you how much the pendulum swings from super motivated and I can write all night long to I have to eke out 500 words with, tooth and claw. And I think that this doesn't just apply to writing. This applies to any other habit you're trying to build in your life. It's common wisdom at this point, but it really feels true today that motivation ebbs and flows. Just having the will to stick to the habit, even when it's not going well, even when it's not fun, is what is going to make this project work. So we're going to get those 1,250 words, even though it is not nearly as fun today. And I think that makes today even more valuable than yesterday. So let's jump right in. I'm not going to waste any more time. And I'll see you afterwards. All right, we did it. We got a total of 1,342 words today. We met our goal. Our new total is 6,906 words, which is about 14% of the way there. Not bad. This one was a tough session. We got some good stuff. I like some of the dialogue from today. Good. I mean, first draft dialogue is going to be first draft dialogue, but it's okay. And I think there are some interesting lines in there. I did set up conflict for the next scene that I'll write, which is good. That gives me something to start with tomorrow. But I'm going to need to spend a little bit of extra time working on this tomorrow because I need to sit down and I need to do a little bit of a beat outline, which essentially means I need to break down not just vague ideas about what I'm going to do in each sequence, but have sort of a beat for beat. This is what I think should happen in this order to go off of. That's harder than it might sound. Anytime you have a good story, one that is a page turner or one that is even just halfway decent, it isn't just a series of events. You know, the adage is that you don't want a story that just goes, you know, this happens and then this happens and then this happens and then this happens. You end up, you know, getting a story that just sounds like your coworker telling you about a dream they had, which is not what we want. We want a story that is full of like interesting, like little crenellated twists and turns. And to do that, we need a carefully plotted out series of events, all the way from the massive sequences themselves forming the shape of the novel. You know, your part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. If you're Brandon Sanderson, I need to start referencing other authors than Brandon Sanderson. Stormlight's not even my favorite series. No offense, Brandon, if you see this. Yeah, no, I should start shouting out some of my favorite series, some of the works that have informed me the most as a reader and writer. That'd be interesting. When I was a teacher, I did recommendations. I would write in dry erase movie and game and book and music recommendations on the board just so that there was something other than linear equations on the wall. Maybe we could do something like that. Might be fun. I don't know if it'll become a habit or not, but while I'm sitting here thinking about it, off the wall recommendation, the Hong Kong film A Moment of Romance, which I think is from 1990 and is a just really fun, interesting, and also absolutely gorgeously shot crime thriller meets young romance film. Check it out if you're interested in seeing something that's probably different than whatever you've been watching lately, unless you're just really keyed into 90s Hong Kong cinema. Anyway, we've made it. That's good. I'm glad to be done today. I'm hoping to have more days like yesterday on the horizon, but even if every single remaining day of these next 8 weeks or like this one, I'll still be glad to have done it. All right, cool. Thanks for checking in. I'll see you next time.